Welcome to the Expire Show, brought to you by Science Centre Singapore, the Singapore Institute of Technology, and Neo Aeronautics. As you know, we've been running a series of Women in STEM, Science, Technology, and Engineering and Mathematics, and in celebration of inclusivity. All right, so we have done a couple of female entrepreneurs, and today we're going to, and most of them work on one project in the PhD and commercialize. Tonight will be different. We will be featuring another innovator who work on a PhD, who work on a startup, and then multiple startup and moving on. So there are lots of stories to tell us. So let's go and meet Dr. Viveka Kalidasan. Hi Viveka.
Hi Prof.
Okay. So you have been going through quite a bit of journey, right? Not just one project, but multiple projects. But before I steal the thunder, maybe you want to introduce what you have been doing for the last 10 years?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for having me on board, Prof. So maybe I can use my deck to tell a little bit more about me. So I believe in 3 E's: education, entrepreneurship, and empowerment. Empowerment, which is actually powered by education and entrepreneurship. So let me just give a quick look into my education. I have a degree in biotechnology, then moved into nanotechnology, and then I did my PhD in nanotechnology as well. So as I went through this education thing, right, I always chose the field which was up and coming. And I come from a family of doctors, so I was always interested in medicine related research and education, so that's my background. But I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So looking at my entrepreneurial thing, the thing is, I believe in translation. So for the audience, translation is taking research from lab to market so that it will be useful for people. Rather than just publishing papers, it's about using the technology. So I believe in it, and I want to be a change maker by doing a lot of translation stuff. So I like to call myself a technopreneur because I develop technologies that can be useful for human beings. So that's what I've been focusing after my PhD. So this is WISE. WISE is an acronym for wireless sensing. So I have developed a surgical implant which can be inserted inside the body at the site of surgery, and you also give something like a handheld reader to monitor what is happening at the site of surgery. So I have developed, and I also try to translate this technology while I'm still in NUS. Just a little bit of bragging about myself is like the clinicians in Singapore and the larger APAC region, they understand that we are trying to solve a very important problem in the surgical space, and we've been recognized for it, for our translational efforts. And moving forward from next month onwards, I'll be working with A-STAR, which is Agency for Science, Technology and Research in Singapore, to commercialize again medical device technologies which have been developed in biophotonics labs. So I think I find myself doing very well when I'm associated in a technology space and trying to commercialize it. So that's like my ikigai, they would, the recent ikigai term, right? So that's my ikigai, and I found out that. And another thing is about giving back to the society in the form of mentorship, because I am wherever I am today, whatever little I am today, it's because of mentorship. So after my PhD, I also founded Edify, which is an innovative mentorship portal for all deserving talents. It doesn't matter what socio-economic background the person is from, but as long as they have the aspiration, they aspire, like your Aspire labs, right? As long as they aspire, then we think that we should provide them with right mentorship. So that's why I started Edify. And I've been doing a lot of things pre-COVID and after COVID. During this pandemic era, we do it online, but before that we used to travel a lot all over the world to run workshops and seminars. So that was my entrepreneurial ventures. so my education and entrepreneurship backed empowerment. My way of giving back is also by me being a mentor itself. So I associate myself with the UN Women program, which focuses mostly on care industry, where women are usually mostly the caregivers. So ideas that will help the women come back to workforce, so that those startups, so I mentor them. And I'm also a mentor to UK based C-Lab Ventures, which focus on oncology, cancer based startups. And in Singapore, I'm also a mentor with Beyond Health Hack, which is run by pharmacy students in NUS. So that's my way of giving back for people to empower. So that's one thing. And talking about Aspire Labs, for my own aspiration, I want to be this woman who will help talents come into STEM education. I think in that way we share the ethos in a way that we want to bring more people into STEM education, especially women, because we think there is a gap in this field. It's mostly male dominated, but I think this gap can be filled so that women can bring fresh perspectives to STEM education, research, and also entrepreneurship. So I want to be that influencer kind of woman. So that's what I aspire to be, because because in my lifetime I believe that I want to have tangible outcomes in terms of having a technology startup as well as empowering a few people towards building a technology startup. So that's my aspiration. So yeah, I think that's all about me. Over to you now.
Wow. Yeah. There's a lot of things that you have been doing, right? But let's start with like a typical good engineer. I will systematically work through your education, your entrepreneurship, and the empowerment, the 3E, right?
Sure, yeah.
Now, I also believe in the 3E, right? I'm an engineer, educator, and entrepreneur.
Okay,
somehow
great.
similar.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the first E, which is education, okay? And we talk about inclusivity, right? So STEM. So a lot why you take up science, right? Some biomedical sciences, but basically it's science. So what interests you in science?
Sure. So that, as I mentioned, my parents are doctors. So maybe, I don't know, maybe growing up I had that thing within me. I also used to like history and geography back in school, as well as biology. I liked all three of them equally. But then coming from a medical background, when you grow up around, my mother discusses a lot about her cases with me. So I wanted to be a doctor, naturally. Actually, I wanted to be an archaeologist as well. But then I wanted more to be a doctor, so that's why biology. And then I did not become a doctor, I mean medical doctor, but then I became a PhD doctor eventually.
Right, yes. You are actually a doctor. So okay.
Yeah.
So what's the so-called advice for students who are not too sure about their career, and why STEM or science is the fundamental or basics that they should spend more time or excel in?
Sure, that's a good question. I think every child, when it grows, it might have, when I started swimming, I wanted to become a deep sea diver. Okay. People don't know what diver was. When I told like driver, you want to become a driver, no, like diver, right? And then it became archaeology when I found history was interesting, and then I wanted to become a doctor. So I think you can keep changing what you want to be when you're quite young. But after that, after a certain period, your curiosity might propel you more. You're wanting to know more about it. It doesn't matter which field it is. But then I am a proponent of STEM because I found more curious towards that particular field. So, and I also feel girls especially have to come into this field more. There is a gap. So, if you ask me, I can't encourage a girl to come into STEM, but when I see that a girl child is interested in STEM, what I can do is to give her motivation or more encouragement to pursue, because I had really wonderful teachers who made the subject more interesting for me. My mom was one such teacher too. So they make the subject interesting. So as long as you have a good teacher or mentor who can identify that spark in you and then encourage it, I think that's how you come into the field, whatever field that is. Yeah.
So is that if you are not fixated on what you want to do yet, or you're not too sure, then a good foundation of STEM allows you many choices later in your life. All right. So that's the importance of STEM. Right.
Yeah.
Now let's move a little bit further. Right. So we skip all your bachelor, everything then goes up to your PhD. What do you research on?
So my PhD was on cancer theranostics. Theranostics is therapy plus diagnostics.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, my PhD field was nanotechnology. So I developed magnetic nanomaterials to both treat as well as diagnose cancer. So you can imagine I synthesize magnetic nanoparticles, little nanoparticles, which can be injected inside the body. And let's say just like two magnets, right? When you there is magnet inside your body, and then when you subject it to an external magnetic field, the magnetic nanoparticles inside the body will vibrate. It will produce certain amount of heat. That is called hyperthermia heat. So it increases the heat of your body, especially targeted on the cancer cells. That particular increase in the heat can selectively kill cancer cells. It will not kill our normal cells, but it can targetedly kill the cancer cells.
Okay.
So I was working on magnetic hyperthermia, which is magnetically driven increase in temperature to kill cancer cells selectively.
All right,
that was my PhD.
So in layman term, may I just paraphrase, right? So in layman term, if there's a cancer cell and you use a nanomagnetic material, so this nanomagnetic material is like a ball, right? So
yes.
Is it bigger than the cancer cell, or is it smaller than the cancer cell?
It is smaller. So
it's smaller.
cell,
So let's say this is the cancer cell. So you have a ball that's smaller than the cancer cell, and you inject, right? So it's small, right? So you can inject. So inject. Then how do you bring it to the cancer cell?
Okay. So there are two ways to do it. One, you can use another external magnetic field to guide it.
So magnet, right? So you just move magnet, and it will move. Okay, good.
Or you can attach some biomolecules onto it that it can go directly find. There is some receptor on the cancer cell, so I attach something that will go and bind to the receptor.
All right.
So it can go and target.
So the science very simple, right? Yeah. Science very simple, but very difficult to do. Okay. so you use another magnet to guide the tiny or nano material to the cancer cell. So the cancer cell there is there, and then you heat it up, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you heat it up so the cancer cell will be killed. Literally, right?
Yes.
That's right. That's fascinating, but everything is just pure science, scientific principles.
That's right,
Okay, so what happened after that?
So after that, so as I mentioned, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and sometimes I dreamed too many things as well. So at that point after my PhD, I wanted to be a social entrepreneur. That's when I started Edify. So right after my PhD, at that time I named it as Avant-Garde Initiatives, complicated name. So right now I changed it to Edify, but in 2016 I wanted to be a social entrepreneur and wanted to do something in the education space. I still want to do. So I traveled to Sweden, most of the Scandinavian countries who are still doing very good work in experiential education. So I trained myself in that, and then I started Edify, at that time Avant-Garde Initiatives, thinking that I will bring experiential education to Asia, to Asian kids. Whatever they learn inside their classrooms, they can be brought out to the nature to learn similar thing. But I'm not doing exactly that. I've pivoted a lot these days, but that's what I did right after my PhD. That was what I did.
What do you mean? I mean, you come at this term called pivoted. So what is pivoting?
Pivoting is you intend to do something, but then you also identify that your resources can be better channelized to do something else, right? So then you identify another problem or another gap, then you want to use the same resources to address that particular gap. So that's pivoting in entrepreneurial terms. Let's say you have a technology, you are trying to do some application, but then you find that there's some other application which might need your technology, and it's easier to go in, or it's more important to focus on that particular problem first, so you go there, right? So that's pivoting. So for me, I pivoted to mentorship. So now Edify is not just experiential education platform, it's more on a mentorship platform, trying to give mentorship for deserving talents.
So let's talk about this entrepreneurship initiative called mentorship, right? So you mentor people, but what is mentorship? Mentorship
is like how you mentored me during my graduate research innovation program time. It's like, it's not coaching, it's not teaching, but it's guiding. So the mentor is a person who might be an expert in that particular field. In your case, it's entrepreneurship, right? So there might be talents who might need a proper guidance in different fields. So I identify the mentee, and we try to match them with a mentor. And the mentor basically guides the mentee to perform better or to even understand themselves better. Yeah. So that's mentorship.
Okay. So maybe a lot of people may not understand, right? So what is teaching versus coaching versus mentoring, right?
Yeah.
So teaching is more like, okay, I deliver the content to you, right? I teach, and coaching is I deliver skills to a certain specific performance, right?
Yeah.
And then mentorship is point you the direction.
Yes, that's right.
Maybe help you in the resources, but you really have to very much depending on yourself.
Yes,
okay,
that's right.
Great. So this, but before you mentor, you really have you ever been mentored by other people before? And
have I been mentored?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the good or very good skills of mentorship? What do you think that this mentor should have?
Oh yeah, sure. I have definitely have brilliant mentors. That's actually why I wanted to become a mentor myself, right?
Okay.
A mentor, the important thing is they should not be judgmental. They should not, they might be experienced enough to look at a problem and solve it, but they have to allow their mentee to encourage, and then because every person is very unique, right? So they need to understand the mentee and allow them to solve the problem themselves. They have to be enablers. So I think that's the main thing that a mentor should have. They have to be enablers rather than being judgmental. Do this. That's a coach, like an Olympic coach who trains, right?
Okay.
Yeah, doesn't work that way. And I have had really very good mentors who are also very good friends to me, actually. Yeah.
All right. So you talk about a project called WISE.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
WISE is.
I don't think you spend a little. Can you spend a little bit more time talking about the details of how you work?
Sure. WISE is my really, how to say, it's my, whatever I am today is because of my journey with WISE. WISE is an acronym for wireless sensing, as I mentioned, right? So it is I have developed a wireless sensing technology which comprises of a small tiny chip that can be attached inside the body. It's completely biocompatible, it's biosafe. You can attach it at the site of surgery. Let's say a patient undergoes some surgery in the stomach area, then you can attach it there, and we also give the patient something like a mobile phone kind of handheld reader. So then this reader will power the chip inside the body and see what's happening around the chip, like is there sudden bleeding, infection, and will also communicate, and if there's something wrong, the reader will alert, so that the patient can be rushed back to the hospital even before the symptoms will arise. Let's say there is infection, even before the patient has fever, nausea, vomiting, alert on time, saves life, saves money as well. So that's the technology that we have developed in NUS, Wireless Bioelectronics Lab.
So is it an implant or is it a temporary feature?
So it is an implant, but we can attach it to, let's say, a catheter, and then we can remove it after the job is done. So we were working on making it removable, rather than leaving it inside the body.
So you are a nanomaterial engineers, right, or scientist, and this is more communication. So how do you actually work out this?
Sure. So I think that's the beauty of STEM, and the world is becoming very interdisciplinary. So you use one skill to enhance another skill. So I'm a material science person, nano material science person, right? So when I started my postdoctoral journey, which is like after PhD, I was still working on materials. I developed surgical sutures which are conductive. So my surgical suture will have all these electronics, and then it will be monitoring what's happening. Then I joined this wireless bioelectronics lab. It's something new for me to learn how to wirelessly power something and then communicate something. So I think I've been learning since 2006, since I started my undergrad onwards. Every time I enter into a new field and then I learn that new field. That's the beauty of STEM, because it's so diverse and interdisciplinary.
Okay, now finish up the journey up to now, right? You're going to join A-Star.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
A-Star is a trove of treasures of technologies, right? What are you going to actually do for the next 3 years?
Oh sure. So the next 2 or 3 years, what I want to do with my life is, so the Translational Biophotonics Lab in A-Star, they have developed so many medtech devices based on biophotonic technologies, Raman spectroscopy. They have developed it already. So one of the technologies, for example, is a handheld reader which can analyze your skin composition, right? So I will be helping them commercialize their technologies, and hopefully after 2 years I will be able to spin out one of them for myself. So that's my vision. That's not my vision and my new lab's vision, so we want to do that together. Yeah.
So what will be the challenges in bringing a technology from a research environment to the world, right? What do you think are the challenges? I mean, you have faced this for a short while, right?
Sure. I think with regards to medical technology, there are so many challenges. Downstream, there are regulatory challenges, that's downstream. But the immediate challenge would be one thing, if clinicians and patients are the people who are going to use your technology, we need to fit into their existing standard clinical workflow. You come up with a very sophisticated technology and give it to them. They don't want to use it unless it makes sense and fits into their standard clinical workflow. Clinicians are very busy and they are really very important people. You can't make them do things which they have to learn, and then it's so, any technology has to be seamlessly integrated. That itself I think is a very huge challenge to address. Yeah, that's also something that I learned from WISE as well. The technology is cool, it's superb, but as long as it does not satisfy what the clinician wants and what the patient and caregiver wants, no, it doesn't matter how innovative your technology is, it doesn't make any sense.
All right, so the first important question, who is your customer? What is his problem? Yeah. And are you proposing a solution to his problem, which in our terminology is called value creation? Do you create value for the customer or user? All right, let's move on to questions, right? Yeah, sure. So a couple of questions from people. How do you monetize a business entity? Social entrepreneurship. Yeah. Is social entrepreneurship not supposed to make money, or what? What are you trying to do?
So there are two ways to do this, and I think most of the social enterprises that I know, they do this. One side, they behave like an NGO trying to create value to underprivileged people. You don't charge them any money. The other side, you tend to, let's say for example, I was running a mentorship program for medical students, right? Then you charge money from them because we need to pay the mentors. So the mentees will pay money for the mentors, depending on the existing market rate, how much a typical similar program, it's not like very innovative, no one else does this in the world, so we base it on the market price. On the other side, when we are going to mentor some community schools or colleges, we don't charge them, it's free for them, so it's two-way. We somehow make money, but don't make money. Yeah.
It's actually quite a difficult business, right? Because I'm not sure about Singaporean here. They tend to look at mentors, okay, free, right? It's like coaching, right? Sometimes, well, coaching for tennis people pay a lot of money, right? But then advising me seems to be free, right? So how do you overcome that? What's a business model to say, I create value, you have, in exchange you pay for the value, right?
Sure, yeah. Because I think it is about, recently there's one very famous LinkedIn top voices, a Singaporean woman, I don't want to take her name, she was also mentioning it in the social platform that we need to, someone asked her to be a free mentor, but then it's like you have to value that person and their expertise, right? So money is about the value that we give for the mentor, so it is difficult, but I think more and more mentees start to understand this, we wouldn't have any problem in charging for mentorship.
Okay. So we'll hold on first. Because we can cut here. Question 2 will not do because question 2 your parents are always supportive, so don't bother too much in your thing, right? So we'll do a question 3, right? So do you think that there are significant challenges that women in particular face for STEM career? Absolutely. What kind of challenges? Oh yeah, absolutely. To be very honest, luckily I have never been on the receiving end of a challenge. I'm really very lucky. No, I've been living in Singapore for the past 10 years. But before that, even when I was still in India, luckily I did not face. But I have heard that many women, especially women who have to give birth to child, it's very difficult for them to come back to this field, and girls, parents might not even be happy to send them to pursue STEM education, which is mostly, you do some arts and science, arts and science is actually brilliant, but I don't know why people think like it's just arts and science. I really
don't agree with that myth. But it's a very soft skill, that's what people think, and then they're not encouraged to pursue STEM. Even if they do pursue STEM, they get married, they have to have a child, and then it's very difficult for them to come back into the workforce. So there is a lot of challenge. It's the journey, not just STEM, in any field, is not the same for a man and a woman, and that's the truth. Yeah.
So, you know, how can society overcome this, right? So we always say that, let's say women, they give birth, they may take 1 year leave, and obviously whether in academia or in your working life, when you take 1 year leave, you tend to lapse behind, right?
Sure,
if you have publication, you got lesser publication. If it's working, there's no output as far as the company is concerned, although they still appreciate and still give you the leave and everything. But slowly, if you have 2, 3 kids, then you are like, okay, 3 years behind people, right?
Yes.
So how do you think society can resolve these challenges that women face?
Yes, that's a very important question. One thing I should tell is, like, from the woman's point of view, she does not want to be or aspire to be left behind. So that's for sure. She's really ready to work hard. But at the same time, men and women around her have to understand that as well. In my case, my father, my husband, everyone have been supportive, all men, but they have been equally supportive as my mother and sister, for example, right? So similarly, the men in the family should understand that, and I know a lot of women where the men ask the woman to take care of the child while they want to progress in their own career. I think this kind of thought has to change. Women have a lot to contribute financially as well as morally, both to the family and the society. We need to understand, we as a society, men and women, have to understand this and then encourage them. I also see a lot of gap funding for women to come back, and then I think it is slowly changing. Earlier, women would be afraid to have this gap. What did you do between 2016 to 18? Why is there nothing? But nowadays, I don't think the employers are looking at it that way. I see a lot of women who take a break and then go into industrial positions, but that's a very few of them. But I'm happy about the positive change. I think it's changing. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to another question. What makes a good mentor a great one? I probably want to rephrase it.
Yeah, sure.
Firstly, what are the qualities of a mentor, and how you can train a mentor? You know, people not naturally become a naturally good mentor, right? So if you know the qualities, then you can train them, right?
Oh, sure.
So do you have such thing defined and have a proper mentor training program or workshop or qualifications?
Oh yeah. Okay, for me personally, I have done so many I have been a mentor and I've had mentors, so I learned it that way. Like when I like what someone does to me, like as a mentor, or when I don't like something someone does, then I'll think like I should behave like this person. I should not be doing what this person did to me. So that's something that I take note to myself. But as I mentioned earlier, a mentor has to be a listener, should not be judgmental about the mentee's problems or whatever it is. So you have to be a listener and have to understand the character of the mentee, and then try to give them solutions accordingly. And I also think in this temporal reference of the world, mentor should also bring their network. Mentor is not just mentoring alone. It's nice if they can share their network with their mentees and help them grow up, because everything is about networking and connection and communication these days. So a mentor should be a listener, should understand the psychiatrist or psychologist who will understand the person, and also a person who will bring good network for the mentee to expand their circle and move forward. So these are the qualities, I think. Maybe there are more you can add.
Well, I mean, besides mentoring, I mean, or coaching. So now I have this experience that you know, my philosophy is always this: when I'm working in corporate, especially, when I reach a position, somehow develop over time. When I reach a position, I always tell myself, I'll stay 3 years in this position. 3 years. People are like, why 3 years? Why not 5 or 10 years? Right? So my philosophy is this: the first year, I set out to do what I want to do, and I identify one guy that can take over me.
That's wonderful. Oh yeah, that's brilliant.
Then second year, I train that guy.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And third year, he can take over me anytime. And now people say, then why do you train people to take over you? Well, I say, well, if one day, maybe at the beginning of year 2, right, I will train this guy, right? And my boss say, hey, there's a position, right? And the first thing he will question himself is, can I afford to lose you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if I cannot afford to lose you, I don't even offer the opportunity to you. You stay put.
That's true.
Right?
Very true.
So I'm always ready to tell my boss. I always got people stand by
Yeah,
to take
that's
over me
right.
so that I can move on, right?
Awesome.
And that also means that you are very confident in yourself.
Yes, yes.
Right? That,
yes.
you know, whoever that you are bringing up will be competent as you, but they probably cannot replace you as yet because they don't have the maturity, they don't have network, they probably don't have network experience, but they have the competency that you build them up, right? So you can continue to move. So you again have a pipeline of people that continue to move like that. I mean, that's really my philosophy.
Awesome.
Everywhere I go, I always do these things.
Wow, Prof, I think it's very important. Most of the time people feel insecure. To not to have that and then have, I mean, whatever you told was just brilliant. I think that's a lot.
So one of the real situation is that when you have people trying to, people tend to be safe, right? And especially subordinates, they when they have the position to make decision, they probably they want to have a second opinion. And then they will come to you and ask you, hey, I have this situation, so what should be the decision, right? And I always tell them, I say, so the first thing I always ask, is that a decision you can make? Then they'll start questioning themselves. Is it my area of responsibility? Then say maybe yes, maybe no, but most of the times yes, because that's what the job scope is, right? So I say, okay, so if that's a decision to be made, then can you work out two or three options? Then they say they work out 2 or 3 options. Then they lay down on the table and I say, oh, these 2 or 3 options. Which one, considering all the trade-off, which one would you choose? And they say, okay, that's the one. And then I look at her or look at him and I'll say, then why are you asking me?
So exactly. You enable them to come up with that decision.
So you let them sort out the answer, let them make the decision, and then they suddenly feel very confident, right? And they say, why are you asking me? You know how to make the decision, right? So I think that's the kind of things that sometimes the skill sets we have to train people to work on. That's my experience.
Yes, that's great. I have taken note of it for myself.
So next question, where do you see Edify 5 years from now? How do you want it to be? What's the vision?
I really want it to be like this one-stop portal where people can think, if it's a school-going girl, or even if it is a woman who had a break after her career, or a guy who's seeking job, first thing that should come to their mind is Edify. Edify means uplift. And it is also kind of sounding similar to education, so that's why I chose the name, right? So anyone who thinks about upliftment or mentorship has to think about Edify. I think it should have a global presence. It should have a global network of mentors, who will continue being with the mentee beyond the 1 workshop or 3 months program that they are associated with. So Edify should be the name that would ring when you think about mentorship or upliftment. So that's what I want for 5 years from now.
Very good. So maybe the last statement from you, right? What do you say to the girls, ladies out there on innovation, STEM and entrepreneurship?
Sure. Okay, I would say dream big, because I'm a small town girl from India, right? And then I don't think I've achieved so much, but whatever I have done, it was just because I was given the opportunity and then you made use of the opportunity. So I think everyone has to dream big. Nothing limits them. And when you dream, you will actually stumble upon opportunities and you will make good use of them when you have a clear dream of what you want to be. So doesn't matter what field you are in or what stage of life you are in, you can always come back to workforce and you can create a difference.
Well, I think that you are a small town girl who dream big, but not just dream big, but I think you achieve big, right? So
thank you.
you got a PhD, you do your postdocs, you create companies, and now you're on the quest to mentor and provide advice people, and say make the world a better place. And that's what we have for this session.
Sure. Thanks,
Dr. Viveka Kalidasan.
Thank you,
Thank
Prof.
you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Nice talking to you, as always.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.